Hi everyone, it's been a while. A lot's been going on, but more so than that, I didn't realize how burnt out I was for making videos, but hopefully I can get back into the swing of things. So yeah, it's finally time. Mystery Skulls Animated is something I really love, and something I made a Halloween video analyzing about 2 years ago now. Back then, I talked about how in basically no words at all, the series manages to convey its unique and heartbreaking story with simply visuals and music alone, and that's still something I regard as incredibly impressive to this day. Back then, I clarified that the series was not over yet, and that when a new entry released, I would be duty-bound to discuss it. And considering the next entry has finally arrived, you guys have made it no mystery to me that this promise needs to be fulfilled. So, here I am, ready to talk about the future, the fourth entry in the MSA series, and along the way of discussing its strengths in storytelling and animation, perhaps offer my tentative thoughts as to where the story has moved along since we last left off. We pick back up from where we last saw our heroes, with Arthur falling to his death, and Lewis instantly regretting his decision to drop the poor guy to it. Before he can deliberately dissipate his magic to save Arthur, however, a bullet from Lance is more than enough to stop the illusion before it picks up steam, which also knocks the heart locket right out of Lewis and shatters it. None too pleased by the hole through his chest, Lewis bears down on a frantic Lance who pumps more lead into the apparition, while this, evidently, does nothing to really dissuade his approach. Meanwhile, the title card drops with this lovely transition with the bat from last video falling from Vivi's hands. As with last time, we see that Mystery has taken drastic action to save her from Shiramori's wrath, turning himself into his kitsune form in order to grab her attention, possibly with a heaping helping of that steaming blood of his, which as we saw in the last entry, may have something to do with Shiramori's very origins. And this does definitely seem to catch her attention, seeing as she's probably very hungry for it. Vivi's eyes land back on the glowing bat, and her gaze travels back into that winter forest from so many years ago. Seeing her samurai-esque ancestor, she awakens to further power that allows her to lift the bat telepathically, instantly drawing toward Shiramori to save Mystery from her advance. Realizing a bit too late that the frost has started to affect her, Shiramori dodges the cold steel and preps to fight the newly invigorated Vivi one-on-one. Back in the truck, Arthur sees the broken heart locker at his feet and decides to take a peek, which immediately gets the attention of Lewis. Within, Arthur sees Lewis's prized photo of himself and Vivi, which very quickly changes to show everyone. Looks like Lewis hasn't only just been missing his girlfriend after all. Though the sudden snatch seems to throw Arthur off, Lewis doesn't seem as angry as he does worried about the locket's contents, which, upon checking the contents again, makes him realize just how hostile he's been towards the people he loves, bringing him to goopy tears as he collapses to his knees. Back in Fight Town, Vivi and Shiro continue to go at it with this gorgeous fight choreography, really continuing to push the limits of quality that this series has reached now with its animation. I mean, seriously, look at how good this looks. Mystery intervenes on behalf of Vivi when he notices her struggling, tossing Shiro into the night sky and causing the truck to explode as she flies into it. Arthur and Lewis, carrying Lance, are a bit understandably out of it after being dive-bombed by a plant lady, but have very little time to process this fact before they're swarmed by her oncoming roots. Mystery yanks up Vivi to ride valiantly into battle, with Lewis joining by providing his ghostly aura and Arthur just trying to stay alive, poor guy. Finally whipping out the power of her ice bat, Vivi freezes some of the roots, causing them to collapse, traveling all the way up to Shiro's arms and breaking them off down to the base. Although Vivi seems ready to finish this strange supernatural interloper off, Mystery, looking a tiny bit responsible for the pain she's also endured, steps in to prevent the final blow from being delivered, which Vivi seems to reluctantly accept. With a pitiable expression, Mystery walks away, but this seems only to make Shiramori more enraged, galvanizing her to grow back her arms and get to slicing. Jumping in on instinct to block the attack, Vivi is seriously wounded, causing Mystery's heart to literally begin leaking some kind of color that seems associated with their bond. Keep this in mind, because it's gonna come back. Tired of playing around, Mystery charges back in, but rushing in without a real plan, he's easily bonked out of commission by the large scissors. Realizing Shiro's core is exposed, Vivi makes a split-second decision to hit a home run to save her fuzzy companion, unleashing her full power to knock the tree's roots into the stratosphere. Despite all the trouble she's presented them, Shiro's death does seem to make Mystery's heart tremble too, considering he seems to feel some level of responsibility for her existence, and this causes another colorful leak in his heart, with one tail seeming to sprout for each pang. Running to his side as he passes out, Vivi cries as she tries desperately to stop his bleeding. However, Mystery seems to glow with a powerful force, convulsing as his blood surges back into him. He's swarmed by a familiar green glow, causing Arthur's mechanical arm to go into a panicked frenzy, and rushing to Vivi's aid, Lewis reunites with his gang. Aww, just in time for them to see their loyal pup's new hellish transformation. Murder Mystery. Flashing back just a bit, we see the inside of Mystery's body at the time of his grave injury of both mind and body, seeing that now that his heart has been fit to bursting with all of the power unlocked and all of his emotion pushed to the breaking point, he's finally susceptible to the takeover of the arrival of the final boss, the envious specter itself, the spiritually infected green arm of Arthur's that kickstarted this whole fiasco in the first place, the ghost of that accursed cave. And that's a wrap. Although this entry of MSA primarily remains focused on more of an action set piece than a big advancer of plot, we still have quite a bit to chew on here. Namely, a lot of the subtlety involved with the characters' reactions and facial expressions convey a lot about their connections to each other, which, in the case of Mystery and Shiramori in particular, was a welcome addition considering we have a bit more ground to cover there at the very least. Seeing Vivi reach her hidden potential and become a super badass was satisfying as all hell to see, and the added mechanic of seeing how Mystery's power is linked to his emotional state was very interesting. While it seems like each color represents one of the people in his life, this is still a bit vague to factor in at the moment. Perhaps each connection represents some kind of seal that turns Mystery from the beast we saw in Hellbent's flashbacks into the cute companion he is today. Worth considering at the very least. In his presumably dying moment where all of his power has been returned, the green bean entity may have been waiting this whole time to corrupt him by deliberately acting in secret to organize this whole mess, but as to whether or not any of this pans out, I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Sorry if this was a short one. Like I said, I've been having a time lately, but it might please you to know that I've also been working on something big in the meantime. And I think you all are going to really enjoy it. So, when we next meet, let's go back to the year 1986. What happened that day? See you there!